anything built on a block of land belongs to the owner of the land. So we had to move away from Roman Dutch law to create this new regime for separate units of a subdivided building. How we did that was by enacting a statute. The first apartment statute was enacted in 1973. It's called Apartment Ownership Law number 11 of 1973. And the last amendment was done in 2003, Act number 39 of 2003. So if a developer registers a subdivided building in accordance with the provisions of this apartment ownership law, title can be given to a unit on a horizontal layer of a building. So that's how we move away from Roman Dutch law and come into this concept of apartment ownership law.
And also now we see that a lot of people are moving towards buying condominium property, and also many individuals rather than companies are moving towards building apartments, because now building an apartment has become lucrative business, especially with the competition for land and the rise in urbanization. People are moving towards Colombo or different town areas of different provinces. So there is very less space in those town areas. Hence, there is a major demand for condominium property. As a result, individuals also tend to move into developing condominium property. Now, my question is it always businesses who or companies which go into condominium development, or does individuals also go into it? And is it difficult to be a condominium developer?
Okay. Now, developing a condominium property might look easy if for a person who owns a block of land. Basically, now let's say if he has 20 purchases, that's how people think, okay, I can make a lot of money by creating units on a multi-story building constructed on my block of land rather than selling this outright. But it is not so easy as one would perceive, because to become a developer, owning a block of land alone is not enough. You need to have sufficient funding, because multi-story property development means you need a lot of financial backing, you have to employ labor, resources, so on and so forth. Not only that, you have to get a series of approvals, clearances. So it's not easy for an individual owner. So what people normally do who have large blocks of land is that they would prefer outright selling it to a developer, a corporate entity or a professional person. And that developer would thereafter get all the necessary approvals to start a condominium project. But I must at this point tell you, in our country, there is no mandatory requirement to get a license for a condominium property development. Anybody, if he or she feels, okay, I'm going to do this on my own, can do it, because there is no mandatory requirement. But in Singapore, a person who wants to embark on a condominium property project has to have a license if it's more than 3 floors, more than 10 units, and also there must be proper financial backing, in the sense if it's a corporate entity, they have said so much of Singapore dollars has to be invested in that corporate entity. But we don't have anything like that. But now when we look at this from the aspect of a prospective buyer, it is a risk. I mean, you don't know where you are venturing into, whether this developer will be able to complete the project if he doesn't have the requisite knowledge. So what I would advise at this moment is that prospective purchasers must check whether the developer has done similar projects in the past, what kind of experience he has, and has he been successful in these projects. And also the contractor that has been engaged for the project, has that contractor been registered at CIDA? CIDA is Construction Industrial Development Authority. So
also, you mentioned that there is willing to or is planning on purchasing condominium property. What advice would you give? What should he or she be cautious about? What precautions should she take? And also, what is the law behind all of such precautions?
Yeah. Now, a person who wants to purchase a unit which has been advertised in a marketing brochure would necessarily check whether this developer or the owner of the land has proper title. That's the first requirement. Now, person would not be able to do this on his own, so they would have to get legal advice. So when a person does a title search at the land registry or the requisite title registry, you might be able to find out whether there are any encumbrances attached to the land, whether there are any mortgages, caveats, and so on and so forth. Then, even if the project is in a good location, my advice is you should be cautious in putting down your hard-earned money. Because if the developer does not have proper title, or if the title has certain encumbrances, that means unless those encumbrances can be taken off, like by way of a deed of release in the case of mortgages, then putting down your money for this unit in such a project is a risky venture. But at the same time, I must say developers has to raise loans, and it is sometimes unavoidable that you have to mortgage the land. But that is for funding required for the project. But now prospective purchaser must firstly check whether the title is there, then whether there are any encumbrances. If there are encumbrances, check with the developer at which stage these encumbrances can be removed, that is by way of deeds of release. Then also whether there is clearances from the authority, that is street line clearance, then ownership certificate. Then also, as I said earlier, very important, does the developer has a development permit? That's absolutely important. Now people might give sales agreement and say, this is you have to sign this, I'm very sorry, we can't make any changes to the clauses. But then if you're putting down a lot of money, you need to ask these questions. Thereafter, if now lawyers advising clients would also must bring this to the notice of the clients. But if the client feels, okay, I don't mind, I feel it's all right for me, I will put down my money for this project, then it's up to the client or the prospective purchaser, because he is willing to take the risk. So apart from that, once the project is completed, there should be a certificate of conformity. The COC is issued by the relevant authority, which confirms that the building has been completed in accordance with the approved building plan. So COC is absolutely necessary. And then of course, if you need to check whether once it's completed, now we are talking about the completed site, whether the building has been registered as a condominium property. But if you are talking about a building which is yet to come up, then my advice is ask about the development permit. If it's not yet been given to the developer, then also one can insist, please, I'd like to have a clause in the agreement that till this development permit is obtained, I am not required to put any further money. Maybe I'll give so much as a reservation fee, but I do not want to commit myself till the development permit is obtained. So there are so many matters which a prospective purchaser should look into before putting down their money.